Hello, hello. Are we doing this? Are we here? Hello. Morning, evening, afternoon, etc., etc. Why is this? Connor, hello. World, hello. Quecko, hello. As always, as a professional streamer, I left setting up till exactly the last minute, and then my lights didn't work. My terminal stopped working. A bunch of software asked for an update, which I thought was risky, but we're here. It's fine. I don't know what works. I don't know what doesn't work. I just know that I'm here, and I know that you guys are here. Daz, hello. It's what everyone should come to expect from such a professional outfit. Audio today. AC, hello. Well, this is it. I do need to update StreamerBot, but I'm very wary about doing it. So I always think I'll update that after the stream, and then I forget. Now I'm quite a few major versions behind. Peniel, hello. New Zealand, exciting. What? I'm gonna say Wellington because that's the only place I know. 7 in the morning, exciting. I am aware that there are more places than that, but that was the first one that came to my head. Ah, of course, Auckland. I've been to Auckland. I should know that. It's a lovely place. Many years ago. It is a long trip from Blighty. I see. Still member after 13 months. Exciting. Okay, let's press a button. Let's see what. Well, this works. That's exciting. It is pretty much the furthest point away possible. I never made it to South Island though. I did a little bit as a kid. Fortunate enough to go. Went around North Island a bit, and then I've done West Island a few times. Why is this doing that? Okay, so let's make run. I think that's what we wanted. Let's see where we're at. See what we're doing. Start planning our lives out. I know audio is not audioing, but we are passing audio files, so I feel like we are one step closer. Today, audio today. Okay, so we got this, and eventually it will play some sweet music. It still looks like it's floating, and I'm not entirely convinced it's not floating. Indeed. Okay, well that works. Exit code 0, so we're winning with that one. Let's go back to this. So we were passing chunks. We were riffing, waving, formatting, and detouring. We were following the Microsoft docs, which are, I think we agreed, not terrible. We needed to just pass the wave chunk, but that was just to verify it because we actually take the format and the data from that. So if I remember correctly, we should be able to just drop that because these still exist within the main chunk. And then, steady, stay on target. That's so much shit on my desk. Okay. And then somewhere at the bottom, we basically start smashing this data into useful things. So I think 1 just gets smashed straight into a struct, whatever they've called WFX. That's the format. So this is a wave format extensible. So I'm going to want one of these. So I think after this we will do wave format extensible. Nope, we're going to do auto. They've called it a WFX, and I see no reason to disagree with them. Fire sounds like a particle system, which I have it's not on the roadmap. Maybe next quarter. I don't know if that aligns with this year's strategic goals, so that might be a future growth area for us. And then I think I'm just gonna Nightbot claims its first victim. I think I'm just gonna smash into this. Oh, actually, I probably should assert that. Didn't it say that it might be bigger? I seem to remember expecting it. So let's ensure that format cc dot. Oh, hang on, what have I done? Oh, full format chunk. So let's ensure that the format chunk dot size bytes is at least as big as a size of woofx. Format chunk is too small. And then we can just mem copy into the woofx the format chunk dot data, and then we'll just do the size of the woofx. That should give us what we want. So that should nicely pull that data out into that, which apparently is what I need. Want to write a program in C real-time analysis that simulates radar scanning from incoming objects, and a program in C++ that analyzes the object to determine if it's a threat. It's hard for me to assess the complexity because I'm not fully understanding what you want to do. Is it like one? Why would they not be in both C++? Just saying. And the other is like, are you using real hardware, or is this sort of a simulation? Because if it's a simulation, I can't imagine it's too complex. But yeah, probably like some sort of object recognition library as well, OpenCV or something like that. Yeah, sorry, I probably wasn't that much help, but I rarely am. Okay, so then the next thing I need after getting the data chunk is a I'm going to call it an XAudio buffer just to be a little bit more explicit, and then that's an XAudio2 buffer. And then what are they shoving in that? If def Xbox, exciting. I don't think we need that yet, but it's good to know that we can handle that if needed. This was the thing that I am unsure of, because this code basically allocates a new buffer, okay, like dynamically allocates it, and then slaps the data, the CC data into that, and then it just hands that pointer over to the audio, and it's not clear to me whether that constitutes a transfer of ownership or if it's a view over that data and how long that should live for. So, because this I'm not a fan of. This I will not be writing this, or it's very highly unlikely I'll be writing this, unless, because it's new, so like it won't know. I'm going to assume. I'm going to do it how I think it should work, and then we'll see whether I'm right. So then I should be able to do const auto data chunk copy equals data chunk. Well, in fact, actually, I've already got a pointer to it, right? So assuming I own it, I think then I shouldn't even need to make a copy of it. I should be able to just do something like dot audio bytes equals data chunk dot size bytes, and then so good I called it twice, and then dot p audio data equals data chunk dot data. Could even be. Oh, it's going to complain I don't have the. Oh, I need. Here you go. Here you go. There's an important flags. End of stream. Tell the source voice not to expect any data after this buffer. So I wonder if this is just like a fire and forget. So I don't know how you do like looping audio and stuff like that, but all fun problems for another day. So I'm going to assume the rest, because it's going to complain, because I've done the designated initializer, it's going to complain I haven't set the rest of them. Which are indeed, there's loads of them. I suppose we should have a quick look about what we are doing. So we've got play begin, play length. Loop begin, loop length. Interesting loop count. Play begin, first sample in the buffer. For XMA buffers, this must be multiple 128. So I can assume these can all be 0 because this 0 initializes them. Length of the region to play and samples. The value 0 means play the entire buffer. First sample of the region to be looped. Must be less. Length of the loop region, loop count, number of times to loop through the loop region. This value can be between 0 and max loop count. If no looping is performed, then loop 0. To loop forever, set loop count to loop infinite. Interesting. So we know potentially how to do that. Julian, hello. Sorry, didn't see you sneak in there. So I think I'm just going to set. I have no idea what p context is, but it may be null. So let's go with that. I'm going to have some casting misery now. Are these not in order? Interesting. So flag should be first, then audio bytes, audio data, play begin, play. I've missed dot play lengths. I feel like these should be 0 if I get the first lot of them in order. Yeah, that's fine. Size types. This wants to be a static cast uint 32. Nice shouty type. I'm kind of surprised I have to supply those. I thought it'd be happy those being 0 initialized. I wonder if that's just Clang being Clang. Mike, hello. Can I convert personalized to Jason, hello. Invalid. Can I convert from byte to? So I do need another cast here. I'm gonna reinterpret cast the crap out of this. Const byte star, which is probably just a unsigned char. Hardy, hello. I'm glad you enjoyed the content. I'm glad you're here. You can experience it live. Gordon, no live chat today. I am confused. There's live chat. I see it. Can you not see it? People are chatting. You'll have to expand. Interesting. Okay. Mitska, hello. I do not have chocolate, no. I do have a beer waiting for me after this, though. So that is... John, hello. I have a cold beer, which I guess is just as good. So, one, this is Clang D. I don't know if that is correct. I thought you could not initialize all the members and they would be 0 initialized. So I'm not sure who's right here, whether Clang or MSVC is right. I'll have to look into that. It's not important for now, I don't think. What is important, though, is that this is wrong. I should probably actually So this is less than or equal to that. And then let's just do format chunk. I'm very good at putting in the ensures. I'm very bad at putting anything meaningful in the text at the end. Let's see. Also, I like how MSVC has just decided as well that it doesn't, like, I have it set to error if I unuse variables, but it's just like, nah, this one's fine. Don't worry about this one. This one's legit. I know you're going to need it later. We should have fixed the wave check. No, you see, it's getting 16 bytes, but unless that is legit, maybe you just zero initialize it and just paste over. There's nothing in here which really kind of says. There's nothing in here that really alludes to sizes, which is a little bit annoying. It just zero initializes it and then copies it over and zero initializes it. So maybe it's fine. I don't know if I can. Is there any mention of like size in here? Like anyway useful. I'm sure I read something about sizes and it might be different. Let's give it a go. So let's check that we have what am I trying to do? Let's check that that's right. So let's check that we have it. Why don't my brain's gone dead? Oh, okay, sorry. Yes, you're right. That is correct. I just had it wrong. Yes. Okay. Stop shouting at me. Ensure that we have at least as many bytes as that object. Yes. Okay, fine. Okay, so assuming that works. Checking the data is greater than the buffer. I want to. Yes, so I want to check that I have. I need to check that whatever I need to check that I am not going to write more data than exists. So I have to check that this is at. No, I'll tell you what I want. That's what I want, right? I just want to make sure I write at least this many bytes and no more than that. So whichever is the smallest of those two. I see. I know a lot of people who just use C++ in VS Code with just IntelliSense, right? The miserable Microsoft like front end. Not even like Clang D, and it's fine. Like a lot of people do a lot of work with it, so it may not be as good as other tooling, but I guess they've probably been doing C++ for a long time, so maybe it is off-putting if you're learning. But I really don't think VS Code is that bad. If you want a better environment, and better being maybe slightly works more out of the box, then if you're on Windows, like big Visual Studio with C++ Dev might be a better option. Yeah, it's not great, but like it's all right. C++ is just a victim of age and not having standardized tooling, so you kind of have to fiddle around with it a little bit. Okay, so we're going to write that. So let's just check this. Check this blends. Yeah, I still think that I still think the language is fun to program in, regardless of even if the tooling is a little bit lacking. So I would encourage you to not let the sad state of the tooling put you off, because it is definitely possible to get to a decent dev environment. I like to think, even though mine's a little bit weird, I think mine's pretty good. But yeah, don't let it discourage you. Don't let VS Code get you down. Okay, so we finished the end of this article. I've successfully created this. How to play a sound with XAudio. So I assume this is the follow-on, right? This topic describes the minimum steps required to play previously loaded audio data. We've done that. Tick. Oh, of course, C-Line as well. Completely forgot about that. Yeah, I know people who use that as well. Yes, I think actually C-Line is probably a good place to start. After you initialize XAudio2 and load the audio data, you can play a sound by creating a source, voice, and passing audio data into it. To play a sound, first initialize XAudio2. Check. Populate a wave format and XAudio2 buffer. Check. Note. I like how the note after the first two steps we've done now comes in. Depending on the format of the audio data, you might need to use a larger data structure, the one that contains a wave format structure in place. This was what I was thinking of. We read this earlier. Waveformats are constructed. Only a subset of the formats can be described. I'm just gonna go with it and hope that it works, and then we'll debug it later. Create what's known as a source voice. Call the create source voice method. This will give you a pointer to an XAudio2 source voice interface. The format of the voice is specified by the values set in the wave format structure. Okay, and some code. Let's get to it. Let's do it. So I want a XAudio. So I want to call this, which will give me one of these. And does this have like a release? Okay, let's. Oh, this function's got a lot of arguments. Okay, I'm going to auto source voice. Oh, hello, where'd I go? Why am I over here? Equals IX audio to source voice. And then impl XAudio create source voice, and then I'm hoping I can wrap this in a unique pointer with a custom destructor MCC. I thought you said hello. You said hype. Either way, hello. This has fewer arguments than I was expecting, but apparently I just slap in here our WFX object. I can't do it that way, can I? Ugh. IX audio source to voice. was it with an R value of, oh, I feel a reinterpret cast in my future. Just some slight underdefined behavior, but I'm sure it's fine. Okay, so what can I do with a source voice? Can I destroy it? Release it? Destroy voice. Okay, so I'm going to need another... Oh, actually, interesting. It's the same as the mastering voice, so this becomes easier. Unique pointer decal type. What I called it when it was at home? Destroy voice. Auto source voice. What's that? So according to the docs, XAudio2 is the current latest and greatest hotness from Microsoft, and is they consider it a successor to Wasapi. So that's why I went for it. I think it's like still reasonably low level, but yeah, it's. Do I need to keep this around, like the mastering voice? It's the lifetime of all these objects is not clear to me. Like once I've created a source voice, am I done? I think I actually probably want, because I just like where I'm gonna keep, at some point I need to say like play audio, right? At the moment I'm doing all this in the constructor. I assume at some point I'm going to want to play more sounds, but I guess so. It's really not obvious to me. But I suppose let's just keep reading and see where we get to. So submit an XAudio2 buffer to the source voice by calling the submit source buffer. Oh, interesting. The audio sample data pointed to by the P buffer will be owned by the app, and it must remain allocated and accessible until the sound stops playing. I'm glad they've included that. I feel it's a little bit late in the game because now I'm going to have to go back and refactor, which is grand. I know, it's like after I've copied all your code and sort of tried to munge it into my worldview and architecture, and it's like, oh, by the way, you were wrong. At least I can call then start. I think that's it, right? So okay, fine. It definitely the docs definitely recommend you use it over Wasapi. So what do I know? I've never done any audio programming before. So we're going to need some sort of like sound bank. Like you're going to want to be able to, because once you've loaded the sounds, you may want to play it again. So I'm probably going to want, I'm thinking I'm probably going to want some sort of map of sounds. Yeah. I think for the moment, let's keep it simple, okay? It's going to support one sound, okay? And then once we get the data chunk, we can just do impl sound data equals data chunk third ranges to std vector. All right. Convert that to the vector, and then in the XAudio buffer, which like I don't think the buffer needs to hang around. It's just the pointer itself does. So this then becomes delete. Import sound data dot data. No, I get back. Yeah, I'm just storing one to start with. Otherwise, I'll put it in a map or some sort of hash table and give it a name. But for now, like I said, I think we're just going to support, like, I just want to get one thing playing because I don't have any other audio files anyway. So, okay, so after this, so that I now own that. That is all fine. I think I'm going to do. Might as well. What if I just kick this off from the constructor, because I know I'm going to go straight into the loading menu. So I should be able to do ensure import. Oh, that's not the right syntax. What's not clear is whether the source voice needs to stick around after it's been submitted. So we've got to start the source voice, call the start method. Since all XAudio2 voices send their outputs to the mastering voice by default, audio from the source voice automatically makes its way to the audio device that was created selected at initialization. It's in a more complicated audio graph, blah, blah, blah. So like, when can I release the source voice? Or does that just hang around? I suppose I probably just want to keep it hanging around, don't I? Because presumably if I want to... Lots of presumaries here. Because presumably then I can just send more stuff to the source voice later as and when I need to. I don't need to recreate it. No, so I'm trying to make a game from scratch, or as much from scratch as possible. So, and I'm trying to do the audio programming, and it's a new venture for me. I've never really done any audio programming before, so this is some sort of reasonably low level Win32 C++ programming. Okay, so ensure import sound source voice submit source buffer. XAudio buffer. Again, not clear if the buffer itself needs to hang around or it'll just internally copy the data it needs and I'm free to dispose of this. Ensure that equals, is it okay? Failed to submit sound buffer. One source voice per sound to play or swap data? I don't know. You know as much as I do at this point. But I believe now I can ensure, because this, I think you need a source voice per sound, because this now just has play on it, right? Sorry, this has start, which implies I can keep starting that as much as I need to. Failed start sound. Sure, what could go wrong? If I want to make a GUI that's agnostic to the OS, what would you choose? It depends what you're trying to solve. Like, if it's in quick graphic stuff, then it's hard to go wrong with ImGUI. If I need to make a full GUI application, I mean, Qt is pretty popular. I don't really do a lot of like GUI programming, so it's hard for me to have an opinion on it, but I would start with, if I could get away with using ImGUI, I would, or Dear ImGUI. I can hear it. I don't. My audio mix is gone. On. You can't all revel in. Where's my audio? Actually, what? OBS, what are you doing? Audio output capture. Right, well, all we are audioing. Done it. Completed it, mate. I kind of want to just see what happens when this finishes, because it's not an infinitely long track, but I can't remember how long it actually is. It's 5 minutes long, so we could just... might just leave this running. I wasn't actually that much code. I will lower it. If the volume is too high on the stream, I will lower it. It should just stop, yeah. And then we need to make it loop. I probably should have a shorter audio file for testing this with. And then I'm just gonna lower the volume a bit on this. Maybe too much. How's that? Is that all right? Volume's good? Okay, fine then. Max. Because at the moment, like, we need to slap this into the TLV, so that's going to be the next thing to do. I'm probably going to pre-process it in the asset packer and then just basically stick in. You'll have a sound data, which will just be which will be a struct with 2 members, which will just have the format and the data, and then this will be super easy to consume. Sorry, I was overzealous with my. I should have been timing this with my mixing. I'm not an audio engineer. But that is pretty sweet. I think that's probably worthy of a commit. So let's do initial audio playing. I'm actually quite pleased with that, and it feels a little bit like a game now. David, hello. New video will be soon. I've done it's another game fix video. I have done my go at fixing it, and the person who asked for it to be fixed seems happy with it. However, we decided to do it as a community challenge as well. So I mean, if you head over to Discord, there's kind of a competition at the moment to see who else can fix it and what ways they fix it. And once that is closed, I will then do a video on it. I'll go through like how I did it, and then probably give a shout out and a highlight to other people and what they did. It's a new thing for us. We're giving it a go. Should be fun. But yeah, new video then. And then after that, I don't really know what I've got planned after that. It really depends. I really don't know, because I don't know how many people are going to submit and what the outcome is going to be. So I'm going to kind of take a view. I think I would like to at least name drop everyone who submits something, because I think that'd be fair, if I think they solved it. It's a competition, but not like, we're still figuring it out. It's not like a first past the post kind of competition. Has it been 5 minutes yet? Oh, I'm just playing for time. I think a mad drop in a minute. It's gonna be ending soon. I'm tempted to start the game to see if it keeps playing. It should do. Nice. I mean, in sort of meaningless ephemeral internet points, sure. It's more to do like the quality of the write-up and stuff like that. And people, so the guy who posted. Okay. Oh, it's eerie now. The guy who posted the initial ask, there are other bugs in the game that he's asking for help with. So there's, and I'm not sure if I'll have time to dedicate to that game anymore. So there's definitely, I mean, never say never, but yeah, there's definitely more. There's always more work to be done. And then yeah, don't really know what's after that. Okay. That is pretty sweet. I think the next thing to do is package up the assets, get those in, and then get it looping, and then I'm kind of tempted to draw a line under audio for now. We'll obviously need to add more sound effects and stuff with like, you know, on reaction to the game, but I don't think it's gonna be, I think it's not gonna be that complicated now that we've got the boilerplate there. Yeah, I mean, like, it's possible to, I wouldn't say I was an expert in the field of detecting AI. I could probably give it a go. Yeah, I think if it's obviously AI, then that's fine. But I mean, people should use AI to solve the problem. But I would like the write-up to be from a real human explaining what they did, even if it was like, I used AI to help this bit. Do you know what I mean? No, I don't think AI is going to replace coders. I think it's going to make more work for people when they realize that there's a huge amount of unmaintainable spaghetti mess that no one really knows how it works. I also think this kind of move that it's going to replace like junior developers is misguided and probably fear mongering, because you only get more senior engineers by starting with junior engineers. At least that's like my view of it. Okay, let's. I am tempted to try and do some template magic to make this a little bit nicer, but I'm not sure if that's really necessary. Any tips to not fail computer science at uni? Show up to your lectures, do the coursework on time, make the most of all the available facilities and lecturers and work groups and everything, and just kind of try and get your money's worth. I've been a professional software engineer for about a decade now, probably just a bit over, and then I guess I've probably been like messing around with code since I've been like 14 with PHP. So yeah, probably about 20 years. That's scary. Neither. The audio file was kindly given to me by a viewer, and they gave it to me as OGG, and then I just converted it to WAV because this is what the API accepts. I think AI is good if you know what you want and you kind of know where you are and know enough to kind of verify the result, and then that way it just takes out, it's good at automating stuff. So I had to the other day convert a bunch of unit tests to a different framework because it's some old code. The reason is irrelevant, but I had to move them from one test framework to the other, and I used AI for that, and it was pretty much spot on. There's like one or two small mistakes, but like it would have taken me hours to transcribe all that. So I thought that was an excellent use of it. Okay, let's try and remember how one TLV is when we're at home. So I think we want one of these composite types because you're going to want a name and then what do we put in the text file? Oh, it must be the Lua scripts, of course. So what do you get out of the mesh data? Because I guess that's the closest and sort of analogous type. So mesh data is indeed non-owning. So I think we're going to want a sound data, which again is non-owning, I think. None of these have like names in them, do they? No, because the name is separate. The name comes from the TLV or the composition of the TLV. There's a lot of, I mean, you could, there's quite a lot of good assets out there now, I think, like affordable asset packs or even some like free ones to kind of get started. I'm only using, actually, no, sorry, that's like, I bought the assets for this game and like, they're not AAA, and my rendering engine doesn't really show them in the best light, but you know, they're pretty easy to get going. I also find like one of the funny things about AI is how desperate it is to kind of please you and yeah, this is correct, and and then you're like, this isn't correct. Like, oh, you're so right. Oh, you are the best person in the world. Let me rewrite that for you. I'm using WAV. Let's do source. Did I do sound? I don't have a sound. I'm just trying to think, do I need... Sorry, I'm just thinking out loud. Probably want a sound or audio directory. I feel like I picked sound for the routine, so I should stick with sound consistently, even though maybe audio is a little bit more technically correct. VS source sound sound data.h, and then once name space game, and then I'm gonna treat myself to a cease to def and a span, and then we will have I've tried to keep as much as possible everything just like non-owning views over the data that I know is already loaded. Data. Sorry, I'm definitely gonna want to struct on that. This, of course, as well is a little bit implementation specific, because if we want something generic, it might not have a format and data. But I think if we just like standardize on we're only going to play WAV with files, then I think we'll be all right. It's a weird old world we live in. Okay, so let's bring this into here. Sound and sound data. I'm just going to make... I don't remember what my make file does. Make game. I just want to update my terrible tooling. Let's run that while I have a look at this. Okay, so then we're going to have basically the same as this. You're going to be able to say, for a given entry, return it to me as this, or check if it is this type with this name. So we're going to have auto sound data value const. We're giving a sound data, and then we'll have an auto is sound data stood string view name const. So this is the So as a quick reminder of how, so TLV is type length value or tag length value, but type length value in this case, it's just a way of serializing data into arbitrary data into a binary format. Every element that is in the TLV is encoded as 3 triplets: the type, which would be one of these enums of 4 bytes, the length, which is 4 bytes, and then the value, which is that many bytes long. These are the basic primitive types that we support, but we also support composite types. So these are basically made up of a bunch of these composed together. So for instance, sound data will be composed of a string and then 2 byte arrays, which will be the name of the sound file, and then there's 2 bits of data inside it, and then that will be extracted into the sound data. I think that's how I'm going to do it. I think that's how the mesh, it's basically exactly however the mesh data works. But the TLV like reader itself, which I'm quite pleased, I quite like the design of, is you just give it a buffer of data and basically say inside this is a TLV, so we load that from the disk, but we could have gotten that from anywhere. And then we can just iterate over these. This has an inbuilt forward iterator, so we can just iterate through all the entries, and then we can use algorithms and ranges to be like, hey, find me a sound file with this name. If you want to start with OpenGL, then I would start where basically I think everyone started, or at least I did, with learnopengl.com. I assume that's what you're talking about. Otherwise, I don't really know what you mean by modules, but like start with rendering a triangle. Okay. Take 2 of these. TLV entry. Stick them both there, and then do. Probably going to need to update the resource cache as well to support sound datas. Because at the moment it has mesh material. Interesting. It doesn't have a mesh data, it has fully realized mesh. I'll have to think about that in a minute. I reserve the right to change my mind on everything I'm doing at the moment. So I'm just going to copy. Hang on, let me just update this. Sound data. Sound data. It'd be nice if we can get this done today, and then we can move on to something else. So here's how it works with the mesh. So you check that it is indeed the mesh type, and then you create the reader cursor, and then you basically iterate it through. The composite types themselves are just sub TLVs, so you can basically create a TLV over the sub data, which it seems a little bit confusing, but if you make all the composite types themselves TLV readers, then you can just iterate over them. So the data for the mesh data is in fact a TLV, and then you construct a reader around that, and then you can say, hey, is the first thing a string? If not, is it a vertex data? And then you int these to T array. So that's how that works. So this will be 2 byte arrays. So I think I'm just gonna do what I did last time. I made a massive mistake and then regretted it. Sound data. So we'll check it's a string, and then we're going to want byte array. I can remember not byte array, and then we construct a span around that. So this becomes Okay, so then we're going to have the format data, which will be, oh, no, it won't be that, and const stud byte. I don't know if I need to reinterpret cast this. I think all the data comes back as a byte array. I have horribly messed something up here. What have I messed up? Probably that. And this becomes the data. Already full of regret. Byte array and then third number not byte array. I don't know why I keep putting an underscore there. Who knows? Get it on your bingo cards. Yeah, given enough time, everything can be reverse engineered, right? Like, basically, like if code is running on your computer, theoretically, given enough time and patience and tooling, you can figure out what it does. It does get increasingly more difficult, though. Now this can't be too large. And then this, I believe, what we do is we just check the type, and then we just iterate through to where we think the string should be. And then get the name, because this will throw if this is wrong. Okay, I think we are getting there. I think we're getting there. Okay, so let's now do, so that's the entry. TLB reader should just work because it just produces. The nice thing about this is that once you've added it to the entry, because the reader just uses an iterator, there's no need to make any extra changes here. This just works. God, it's been ages since I've looked at all this. But however, the writer, I think, does indeed need some love. So this is going to need a write string name and then stud span const stud byte format. That's it. Remember, you just give it all the data it needs. And then we'll just serialize all that up nicely. Right. Why was that whole thing of star method? I honestly can't remember. It's probably just to do with the way I wrote the iterator. I might I may not have just added the arrow operator to the iterator. I honestly can't remember. It's kind of like quite internal code though. So am I even all of those right functions? I'm not personally all of those right functions, but I am using them. Yes. If we look when we hop over to the resource packer, that's what basically builds the TLV. Font is Fira code. Starting should return, dereferencing should return a reference, I think, should do. I think it depends on the API, but I think the standard stuff will give you a reference. So actually the writing code is quite nice because all we do is create a writer, TLV, and then we just, where do we set the mesh data? Yeah. Is that right? Yes, that is right. We just write the data after it. So we do write writer.write name format data, and then whatever this, we pull out for armed. But I've got that in the header as well. I do. Okay, and then all we do is slap in the tag, and we are good to go. Yes, so this encodes all that data into itself into a TLV. We then pull that data out and then encode it into a single entry with the type, the length, and the value of that data. So it's fine. Oh man, Rowhammer, haven't heard that in ages. So now we go to our resource packer, which is a little bit grim now, but it's fine. It's fine. I don't need sound data actually. Don't even need it. Do not care. I think we just need to. These should be separate functions. So, but it's fine. Else if ext equals WAV. Question mark. I need the dots, don't I? So all this does is this loops through everything in the assets directory and picks out predetermined things. So every image it comes across, it'll pick out and pack it and put it in. Every obj file, it'll pick out and pack it and put it in. Every Lua file. So I'm going to want the WAV file. Let's do that. And it automatically puts like the name as the file name. So then I'll be able to search for main theme under sound data, and it should automatically put it out in theory. So then for this, we can just basically the same as this, right? So no, now we need to process that data. Where's the best place for that? So let's go back to routine now. Let's think about how we're gonna architect this. So we've got this pass chunk. I could just wang this into the resource packer. What I'm wondering is if it's worth me making a sound object which might own, say, the buffer, and I can't really own any of the XAudio2 primitives because you'd have to only create it from within here. It's a little bit messy, this now, just because of the nature of that. It all has to come through this XAudio interface, at least all the XAudio primitives. What do I want to do? What's the path of least resistance? It's probably just to move the parsing out of here into the resource packer and then not have to worry about it. Yeah, but like, what does that object contain, and then where is it constructed, and then how does that kind of interface with the TLV? So ultimately the question is, what is the end interface? Like, what do I care about? Do I want a sound object with a play method on it? Okay. And does that make sense to be called from anywhere? Or if this was this is effectively a sound manager, right? Effectively, this class is called routine because it fits into the coroutine framework, but it's basically a manager. If subscribers don't get ads, but that's all I can say. I don't do anything at the moment. I just let it roll out. What I'm saying is, like, in my mind at the moment, on my limited kind of foresight into this project, only this class will be playing sounds. Other things will inform it that a sound needs to be played. Okay. Like, whatever, the barrel moved and it should play a scraping noise. We need to play like an end credits thing. Do you know what I mean? However, I very much want to separate out the welcome aboard. I very much want to separate out the mechanics of playing audio from the gameplay, if that makes sense. I don't want to have all the code littered with play this sound, play this sound. I want it to be like, this thing happened, and then conceptually the sound routine is like, oh, I now need to play a sound based on that, because then it can handle things like playing the sound twice, all that kind of thing, buffering. So I think actually I really don't want, like, a sound primitive would only this is a continuous stream of my thought now. I really don't think I want like a sound object. I think I want it all to contain in here. I think I just want to keep this simple, right? And then there might be an internal sound object, right, which handles this data, and then we kind of map that to strings and stuff like that later. But and we might put the source voice and the sound data together in an internal thing, but I really don't think anyone outside of this class needs to know about sounds. I think it just needs to say a thing happened, and then the sound routine, which is kind of a blend of a sound manager and game logic, is like, oh, we need to play a sound now. I would like to do 3D sounds, but it's probably not what I'm working on straight away. apparently XAudio supports it and has this sort of concept of like 3D positional sound, so we'll probably have a play around with that later. I think I've spoken too much and not really made any sort of progress. So I'm gonna yank this out, and then I'm gonna go to main, and I'm gonna stick this in here, and I'm gonna hope for the best. Again, do I want to play sounds from Lua, or does Lua just want to emit events onto the bus that mean the sound routine then plays them? In my mind, I just feel like that's a better architecture, is you just inform the world that something has happened, and then audio happens as a consequence of that. But I'm going to keep it simple. So my goal on all of this is only ever to write code that gets us closer towards the game. And at this point, the thing that gets us closer is shoving something in that resource pack and then unpacking it into here. So I think for now, let's keep going. So I basically want all this. All right. Not there, I don't. Christ, no. What's going on? Absolutely full. So this becomes path, because it would have already found that. It's got the format chunk. Did I leave the... I just left the data chunk behind. Oh, of course, because it's part of that. No problemo. We'll get this sorted. Yeah, again, I think we probably will need to... So my view at the moment is we will probably need to build out a better abstraction over the sound stuff to make the more advanced stuff easier. However, I think that will probably live internally within the sound routine, and I don't want to be exposing it. Because at the moment, like, if you look on the graphics side, things communicate in terms of like mesh datas and textures and samplers, and those are part of the vocabulary types of the game, but I don't think sound needs to be a vocabulary type. Okay, so if I do writer.write file name, format chunk, and data chunk. Yeah, so like if you had a different soundtrack per level, right? For example, the Lua might control what that soundtrack is. So when a game finishes, when a level finishes, you might communicate with the Lua and say, hey, what's, like when you start a new level, go, hey, what's the soundtrack for this level? It will give you a string, and then you'll put that on the message bus and say, oh, I'm starting this new like level. Can you please start this level backtrack, or something like that? Or if it's just, or if you just want to reset the music per level, then there'll be an event which is like new level, and then the sound manager's like, I know that I need to play a new sound on that. That's not what I want. Okay, I think that's all we need. This takes a while, so I'm going to start thinking about how I'm going to pull this actually into the game. So the moment all the assets are loaded into the cache and the cache is just passed around. So I kind of want to keep that because it also ascertains that they're all there when the game starts. Excuse me. So resource cache. They're compressed. Oh dear. Why, what, who, and why, and when, and how have you decided you are unhappy? Of course, the sound routine now is actually totally balked, isn't it? It's not gonna like any of this. Let's just get rid of that for now. I just want to get it to. I just need to get to build. It's a little bit annoying that the resource you can only build the resource packer if the game itself builds. We all make mistakes. Oh, that's a bug in my my make file. That should be rm. Nailed it. You are correct. The game manages CPU core threading by only doing everything on a single thread. So in that sense, you are correct. So actually, I do have a shared static library, but no, it is a static library, but it still has to build it first because it requires parts of it. There could probably be a better separation of like what is like the core part, but it just wangs it all into one library. But if you can't build that library, then you can't build the resource packer. Yeah, it's a fundamental just limitation of the architecture. Like I just shove everything into a library, and then the game itself is just a very thin wrapper around that library, and then the resource packer just consumes that for the bits it needs. So you either make everything header only, or you split it up into multiple libraries, neither of which I'm going to be doing. Where we sad? Where we? I think it just crashed. These errors are fine. I'm a-okay with those errors because that's just from a simp. So it's how very strange. Guess fix this. Nope, wrong main. But this is all main is, by the way. It's just sets up the game object and sets it off with a few command line args. I get. Let's get a debugger out. There's no point. There's no point even faffing around with it. I think I even have the resource packer set up to debug. No, nope, made that one up. I did have on the old PC. Okay, fine. That is not to worry. So let's just bring up what I was running. So build. Tools, resource, packer is the release build as well, which is a little bit annoying. get that, and then current working directory is that. So then args are assets and build. Nice try, Copilot. Nice try. Name resource packer, and then game and such. Okay. My resource packer is not working. That's what we're looking into. That's not helpful at all. Okay, fine. We'll have to run the debug version. Let me just quickly build it in debug. CMake build config debug target resource packer. I didn't mean that. Yes, you're right. Thank you, CMake. You're a good egg. I know, I just sort of forget I just honestly just forget it's an option. Okay, right, so let's do debug and stop and go. It's true, actually. Yes, you're right. This is actually Windows. I do have a makefile with res, but that's how I'm running it. Right. Oh, hit Watson. Nice. Oh. It's that stupid WSL mystery zone bullshit it keeps adding. I just hate everything. There it is. There's the bugger. Thanks. It's not even what I'm trying to read. I should have spotted that earlier. This will work. After I rebuild it again, release, obviously. Is it still hanging on to some sort of weird handle? Nope. Yes, I think we should just get those out. It is a lot quicker in release mode now, I have to admit. Harand, hello. I thought you said you moved raid night so you could attend these. I'm upset now. Permanently or just one off? Anyway, lots of good hints. Thank you guys for in the chat. I'll try and get around to that. Okay, so now that that is packed, let's write some code. Nice. Good man. Okay, so we've got that packing and then resource cache. Probably just want to stick the sound data in here. Like, I know it's non-owning, but I think that's fine. What's a few more tuples? Or a few more elements in it? I'm sure I'll sort it out at some point. It's the fun reoccurring joke in these streams. Okay, so let's do resource cache dot insert sound data main theme. I'll pull it out of the TLV somewhere, haven't I? Oh, these take TLV, so I'm just gonna have to const auto main theme data equals stood ranges find TLV file. It's been a while since I've done this. This is what I want. No, that's not what I want. Beta, that's it. Const auto entry return entry dot is sound data main theme. Then ensure main theme data doesn't equal stood ranges cend reader could not find main theme star main theme data. Did I not? I don't think I added the arrow operator, which is partly my fault. I should probably go back and do that. As sound data value. Okay, I think that's what I want. So go through every entry in the TLV, find the one that is the sound data for the main theme, get that single entry out, and then convert it into the sound data. And then the sound routine. Some of those little functions do. Resource cache. Resource cache. Is that what I called it in the other routines? Yeah, okay. Oh, it's the default cache, isn't it? Of course. Of course. Default cache. Resources? Just trying to keep it reasonably consistent. Resources. Jason, goodbye. Thank you for joining us. Yep. I'm sure I would have spotted it eventually, but when the compiler shouted at me. Resource cache. Default cache. Resource cache. Have I really changed the name of that between those? I call it resource cache there, and then I call it. I do call it resource cache there. What am I? Obviously, just a little bit inconsistent. What's new? Resource cache. Resource cache. Okay, so that's that. This is NeoVim. So in theory, now that we have the resource cache, we should be able to do const auto main theme equals resource cache dot get sound data main theme. And from there we can main theme dot format dot data main theme dot format dot data, and then take a copy of that data. Yeah, now we're getting there. So data chunk becomes main theme dot data. Okay, it points back to it, obviously. In which case, I know it's not needed, but just my insanity. Okay. Okay. Let's see who we are. Let's see if this loads, picks it up, unpacks it, decompresses it, sticks it in the cache, pulls it out of the cache, sends it here, sends it there. I've not wired it up in main. Builds, so therefore it must run. Could not find main theme. Okay. But why? Oh, it's does not like that. It should be main underscore theme. Might not be able to pick it out of here. Okay, hang on. Can I grab main theme in field resources? Interesting. Okay, why is that? It's definitely packed here. Of course, the file's compressed. Sorry, yes, you're right. Because for a long time we didn't have it compressed. Sorry, yes. It's been a long day. Okay, so it's not packed as main theme.wav, is it? Is that what the other? Yeah, I bet it's packed as main theme.wav. Do I do the same with the hang on, I think when I pack the images, those don't have file extensions. So what do I call it? I write I want asset name. That's what I want. Good news, we get to build the resources again. One more time. That's right. Just playing for time now. Squeeze out a few more ads. Not that I do anything with ads on any of the stream platforms other than the default settings. I don't think the bottleneck is the file I/O. I don't think having more threads is going to make much of a difference. And actually, the packing of stuff is reasonably quick. It's the compressing and writing is slow. I think that's just a victim of using WSL. I could be wrong. I really want to keep it single-threaded for as much as possible. This, just because I think it makes everything a lot easier. Next project, next game, multi-threaded. Nice. We're doing it. Smash the place up. Well, so I'm not doing it across file systems. I'm doing it entirely within the Ubuntu VDHX, whatever it is, entirely within the Linux file system. It's just file just seems to be slow. No, we've got coroutines, which I guess is probably about as close as you're going to get. There's a lot of manual. There's a huge amount of boilerplate to go onto that, especially to make them work with threads. I think a lot more complex games were made with less threads. So for what I want to do now, I'm kind of okay. Just check it quits. Okay, let's stick this in the Git hole. So the other thing to do is see if we can figure out looping, and then I think that's probably about it. Then we'll think about what we're going to do next. Yeah, I'm not an expert on the internals. You're probably right. There might be a way I can make it better. I know that there is. They recommend you don't go from like through like Mint C whatever into your main hard drive because that can also be slow. But yeah. But I thought writes from within Linux to the Linux file system itself were fast. I'm not an expert on any of this. Okay, so let's do update TLV to support sound data, update resource cache to support sound data, and then this is basic pack WAV files, and this is basically load sound files from TLV. Yep, it's true. To be honest, there's nothing stopping it being a Linux app, I don't think, apart from file, which because I use memory mapped files, and I guess this is Windows only code. Okay, that is quite nice. I'm quite pleased with that. The other thing is like I guess I'll tell you what. I'll tell you why it is slow, because I am going across the boundary, because I'm running it as a native Windows app, which will spin it up in the Windows space. So then it will be going across the network drive. I bet that's why. I bet it's because I'm not running it as because I just effectively just launch native Windows applications from WSL and something Windows Magic. It just runs. Yeah, thinking about it, that is probably why. I'll have a think. It might be, you're right, it might be easy just to run that one, run the resource packer through Wine. Anyway, compiling it isn't the hard part. It's the fact that, well, sorry, like it's quite easy to change compiler. I have a lot of Windows specific code, so I don't think it'd be easy. I think Y might be the best option. Anyway, I'll have a think about it. I want to figure out how to do the looping thing. We'll see if we can figure it out. So where was that? That was somewhere in the XAudio2 buffer. So loop begin. First sum of the region to be looped. Loop begin must be 0 if loop count is 0. Length of the loop region in samples must be 0 if loop count is 0. Here we go. If loop count is not 0, then a loop length of 0 indicates the entire sample should be looped. So if I put infinite, I think I just need to put loop infinite in here, right? And then everything else just works. Equals 0 dot play length equals 0 dot loop begin equals 0 dot loop length equals 0 dot loop count equals loop infinite. XAudio loop infinite. Might as well fill out the rest of these now. And then p context equals null pointer. It's XAudio2 loop infinite. Nice, nailed it. I think that might just work. We'll have to kill 5 minutes. Okay, right. Whilst that is playing in the background, I will tentatively assume I got it right. And commit make main theme loop. I'm going to do a build tonight as well, because I think it'd be interesting to see how people get on with the audio. Commit version. Are we on stream 74? No, God, no, I don't want to revert anything. I've already forgotten what number it was. Oh my goodness, what am I doing? Stream 74, there you go. Don't run off yet. I've got 3 memberships to give out. Do that in a minute. I'm going to do sorry, I'm just going to kick off the release now. Whilst I play for time. Yes, it's not been compiling for a while. It's been a little bit sad. Right. Exciting. YouTube kindly allows me to gift out 10 one-month memberships per month live in blocks of 5. So the first 2 streams of the month always give these out. Congratulations, welcome, hello. Come on to Discord, there's an extra room with not a lot of extra stuff in it. But you get early access to videos and a few behind the scenes gubbins. Think of, do with that what you will. But we will awkwardly stand here until the 5 minutes plays out. Mainly because I want to try and finish this on the 2-hour mark. So, but I'm happy to answer questions or go through anything in the meantime whilst we do that release. I'll stick the release on GitHub. When it's done, it'll send an alert to Discord. Everything's through Discord now. Discord. God, full release build takes a while. Still building Jolt. Also, for Twitch folks, it's fun to say. Is there anyone C++ing today? Alas, no, there's not. Oh, there is. Okay, after I've convinced myself the audio works, I'll send you along your merry way to them. What is CMake doing since it takes so long to create the build files? It's just slow building. Again, I'm probably slightly IO throttled because wait a minute, MSVC is running under Wine, so that's fine. So that is running natively. There's just an awful lot of code. There's 620 translation units. It's just how long it takes. Got against the end soon. Oh. Sullivan, hello. I didn't really notice. If it did, I've not really looked into it. Yeah, I don't know. I very rarely do a full clean build, only for the release, and I normally just run that as a script as the stream ends, then kind of bugger off and get a beer and wait for it to finish. Okay. It's tense. We're doing it, guys. We're game deving. No, go to the opticians, I guess, probably my best. And that's not even like me being glib. Like, I think if you have issues with sight, you should probably speak to a professional. I couldn't offer you anything other than, I guess, the recommended advice, which is to take a 15-minute break every 45 minutes and go look at something in the distance. Okay, let's... Oh no, where's he gone? Oh no, has he stopped? Oh no. He was just about to get... Oh no, here he is. Fine. 4 viewers. C++ game dev. Start the raid. I'll check everyone gets over there in 1 minute. Otherwise, I will hang around on Discord for a little bit and chat. I've got projects and stuff to be doing probably way later than I need to be doing it. Otherwise, oh, actually, hang on. Ooh. No, I don't know what we're going to be doing next stream. I'll have a think about it, and I'll get back to you. I'm probably going to stop. Probably going to stop audio for now because I feel like the mechanics are somewhat done. I want to move on to something else, but I don't know what that is yet. Might be more small graphic stuff. I think we need to do anti-aliasing and bitmaps, and there's a whole host of shit that we need to do. So we'll do something fun next stream on Sunday. It'll be fun. Come along. We'll have a grand old time of it. Other than that, I will catch you all anon, or for the Twitch people, I might see you in the other stream. But anyway, thanks for coming along. Had a good one. See you later.